All right, hi folks. I want to do a quick video here, folks, about the link between the United States of America, the District of Columbia, the goddess Columbia, and why Freemasons link the goddess Columbia or the District of Columbia with ISIS from Egypt. Now, that may seem like a stretch, folks, but if you've seen any of my videos before, you know that I've commented before about the obelisk, the Washington Monument, and the dome building at the Capitol, like in Washington D.C., and how that's the same type of obelisk that was in Egypt when they anointed a new king there, and he would take on, or a new pharaoh there. He would take on, or he would be possessed by the spirit of Osiris, right? And how that basically factors in to a lot of that type of iconology that we see in the United States of America in Washington, D.C., and they also have it in Rome, folks, at the Vatican. They've got a similar type obelisk, and I think the dome-shaped building there is Peter's Basilica. But it's the same thing, and I can't remember if it's the Jefferson Memorial that's the dome building, or if it's the State Building, the Capitol Building, what it is. Anyways, folks, you can quickly find that on Google. I'm not here to rehash that. I've talked about that and shown that in other videos. But it seems a lot of people get confused when I speak about this stuff because they don't understand how that links to Osiris, Isis, and Horus, right? Now, folks, a lot of people, a lot of mythology, and a lot of archaeologists and stuff link that myth to Nimrod and his consort. I can't remember her. I can't believe that escapes my name, or that escapes my mind. But they'll link that to like Nimrod, Semiramis, okay? Nimrod, Semiramis, and a lot of that stuff. And it gets linked to the Queen of Heaven and Nana, which is Ishtar, which in English is Easter, which a lot of people, that's why a lot of Christians, including myself, have a problem with us calling the Christian holiday Easter when they celebrate it, right? That's a whole other ball of wax. I don't want to get into that. But here's what I want to show you, right? Let me move on here. Okay. This is from a website called the Masonic Philosophical Society, right? This is an article written by a person named Axel Savari, okay, on July 3rd, 2020, right? And in this short article that I'm about to read to you, and I'm going to put the link to this article in the description of this video so you can go and read it yourself, you are going to see how the Freemasonic theology links all of these things together, and you're going to understand that I'm not a crazy person making this stuff up, right? Now, listen, folks, there are different sects of Freemasons. If you think Christianity is split into subsections like Catholic, Baptist, and all that, there are just as many splits, if not more, in these Luciferian cults that people call Freemason cults, right? They have different splits on this stuff, and even going back to the Queen of Heaven, some of them will link the Queen of Heaven, which is supposed to be this creative energy that doesn't need masculine energy. Some of them will even link that kind of to the Baphomet and a lot of other things, and you get a lot of the conflict from what I read and what I understand is when certain factions of Freemasons want to link the feminine and the masculine together and say that that's the creation energy, and other ones that want to stay more pure to it and consider that the Queen of Heaven or Sophia or whatever you want to call this feminine energy that creates, they want to keep that pure as purely feminine, folks. Now, I'm not here to split hairs on that. Quite frankly, that's just not relevant for what I'm about to show you, but I just want to make you aware that there are splits because of that, When people want to merge the masculine energy with the feminine energy, like for the Baphomet symbol, and that's going to become relevant here as I read this article. So without any further ado, folks, let me just get started here. And as I go down through here, you're going to see how these links are made, right? Okay. The name of this article, Columbia, an American Goddess by Axel Savari, posted on July 3rd, 2020. Okay. If you were to ask the average American which mythical figure best represents the national character, most would reply with a household name, Uncle Sam. The genial yet intimidating patriarch has dominated artistic and poetic descriptions of the American nation state for 100 years. Okay? They've got the quote from Emma Lazarus here for the New Colossus. I believe this is also on the Statue of Liberty. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Okay. However, there is another more deeply ingrained avatar of the American populace, the omnipresent Columbia. Okay, we know God is omnipresent. That's all, everywhere, right? Now they're linking these supreme being qualities to this goddess Columbia, right? Okay. Most famously depicted as the Statue of Liberty. Now, I'm going to stop right there, folks. Now, I've told you about how there's splits, about people say that this feminine energy, this virgin energy, is strictly feminine, and then other sects of these Luciferian cults link the masculine with the feminine. Now, I've done other videos about how the Statue of Liberty, which this person is talking about, actually has the face of the sculptor's mentally ill brother. So he added masculine aspects to the Statue of Liberty. Now, some occultists like that, some occultists don't like that. Some of them believe in the Baphomet, the merging, where, the androgynous symbology of a being both masculine and feminine. Some of them don't like it, okay? Now, I just want to prove that point here and bring that back up because this article is referencing the Statue of Liberty, right? Most famously depicted as the Statue of Liberty, upon which is inscribed Emma Lazarus's poem reproduced above, Columbia was the mythical figure adopted by the founding generation of the early United States, okay? Now, what they'll call this being Columbia to you, okay? They're not going to tell you out front that this is ISIS, but this article does get into that symbology, which is why I'm reading it. But for the basic people out here, the normal people, functioning people, they're not going to tell you that. But they want you to accept and kind of like worship this Columbia figure, which they know stands for something else, okay? Moving on. Columbia was the mythical figure adopted by the founding generation of early United States. After the defeat of the British in 1783, America found itself free from international harassment and a wide open frontier for unknowable bounty. What was needed was an icon, a symbol by which to galvanize and direct the consciousness of the American people. They needed a symbol of worship, folks. So these Freemasons went and based this goddess off ISIS, but called it Columbia, right? That's what's going on here. That's me reading between the lines. That's my opinion, okay? All right, now I got lost here. What was needed was an icon, a symbol by which to galvanize and direct the consciousness of American people, okay? By the late 1790s, Columbia was born. Columbia quickly became the patron saint of manifest destiny, the doctrine of westward expansion embraced with genocidal fervor by the pioneers and politicians alike. They're talking about how manifest destiny, we took these lands from the Native Americans. That's what's being referenced here. Now, what your feelings are on that, I'm not getting into what people think about this stuff. This is just what I'm reading in the article, okay? Columbia's figure appears on or within many state and federal buildings constructed in the 19th century, usually cast in bronze and often pointing or facing west, okay? Now notice that they're trying to create this spirit of worship, right? And they're basing it on ISIS, and I'll show you that in a moment, folks. But that is what the people in control believed. It doesn't matter what the commoners believe. This is the direction this country was taking from day one, and that's why many people out here, including myself, believe that this country has Freemasonic roots, okay, and they manipulated Christians with types like this that at face value don't seem like it's that harmful, but it's the intent behind the symbology that's the problem, right? Okay. And another thing too, they also mark this conquest going from east to west. A lot of theology, New Age and occult theology, you'll notice that moving from east to west is ascension, right? It's linked to ascension. Now, north-south is too, but it's not, very rarely you're going to find anyone moving from west to east looking for ascension or, godhood. Typically, it is east to west from what I can tell, right? From my experience reading this stuff, okay? All right. She adorns the Wisconsin Capitol building. We're talking again about the goddess Columbia, sculpted by the same Daniel Chester French who constructed the great rendition of Columbia in history, a 65-foot-tall statue of the Republic commissioned for the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition held in Chicago, Illinois. Okay, a lot of these occultists from Chicago. I don't know if you guys have noticed that or not. Okay. She reposes atop the Texas Capitol holding the sword of justice and raising aloft a blazing golden star. She lends her name to numerous towns across America. She is the patron of Columbia University, and the seat of governmental power stands in a district built in her honor, the District of Columbia. Okay, folks, the district, that's Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia. And in the past video, I told you that is sandwiched in between Maryland, which is Mary's land, the Queen of Heaven in Catholic theology, though they'll pretend to the commoners that represents Jesus' mother Mary, folks. That's actually this goddess, right? And then you've got to the southwestern part of that, the state Virginia, which is Virginia, okay? Like I referenced in the video prior to this, it's all about this virgin goddess energy, folks, okay? Columbia as a symbol is far too complex and deeply rooted to be ascribed as a creation of political machinations. Right there, this person writing this column here, this article is telling you right there that there is a lot more behind this than the common person believes, right? Columbia is only the latest name given to a goddess who is older than recorded history and can be traced in her modern form to the early Egyptian dynasties, right? Okay, now this person is referencing that Sophia goddess energy that they say, my phone was going off, sorry folks. This person is referencing that feminine goddess energy that I was talking to you about before that a lot of people call Sophia, that they believe is literally responsible for the creation of Jehovah. And because Jehovah does not know that he was made from Sophia, that Jehovah, the God of the Jews, is actually just confused. He thinks he's God because he don't know where he came from. Okay, that's some highbrow New Age philosophy, folks. Okay, all right. Columbia is only the latest name given to a goddess who is older than recorded history and can be traced in her modern form to early Egyptian dynasties. She has been known throughout history variously as Inanna and Ishtar by the Sumerians. Ishtar in English is Easter. That's why a lot of us Christians, including myself, have a problem with calling Passover Easter, folks, okay? I'm going to continue on. She has been known throughout history variously as Inanna, Ishtar by the Sumerians, Kali by the Hindus, Freya by the Norse, and most notably as Isis by the ancient Egyptians. Okay, that's Osiris's wife's sister or mother's sister, in which that Osiris is killed by his enemies, right? They cut his body into 14 pieces, but she can only find 13. So Isis makes a phallus, a penis, out of another material, and then conjures the spirit of Osiris and has sex with this thing, okay? That's what the obelisk, the Washington Monument, represents in downtown D.C., folks. That is Osiris's penis, okay? That's what Isis did to become impregnated with Horus, her son, which is actually the physical embodiment. That is Osiris making his way back into our corporeal world as Horus. Horus is Osiris in the flesh, right? They say that Christians got the themes for Jesus and the mythology of Jesus based on this, which is completely false, but that's what they say, folks, okay? Now, moving on, okay. She's the goddess of love, wisdom, welfare, and destiny, is venerated by all cultures as the mother of civilization, okay? The creation energy, right? The goddess Sophia. In the original Egyptian telling of her tale, Isis is also the goddess of magic, basically witchcraft, friend of slave and aristocrat by equal measure, okay? It was Isis that kept the veil of night cloaked about the light of wisdom, okay? She's only going to reveal this wisdom to who she picks is worthy of it, folks, okay? Initiation is a big part of Freemasonry. It's just like, I think it was Manly P. Hall that said, you have to demonstrate you can harness and control the seething powers of Lucifer before you get any respect at all. That's the context of what he said about Luciferianism, folks. You have to show that you have that power and you can manage it before you'll get any respect from them, right? It was Isis that kept the veil of night cloaked about the light of wisdom, and it was her name invoked in rites and rituals of numerous fertility cults that sprang up along the banks of the Nile. Fertility cults, those are sex cults, folks, okay? Temple prostitutes, all that stuff, right? They're using sexual energy as conjuring power and a lot of other things. That's how they finance and pay for everything, folks. They had temple prostitutes. Now notice the link to the pentagram here. The pentagram, a five-pointed star, the primary symbol of magical and initiatory societies across the world, is the shape traced in the heavens by the transit of the planet Venus throughout the year. Okay, Hallel ben Shakar, I believe it's in Isaiah 14. It's translated in our King James Bible as Lucifer, folks. That is Hallel ben Shakar. That is son of Venus or son of the morning star, okay? Once again, you can make the link between Lucifer and this Horus being by what is written in our Bible and the Hebrew that was translated Lucifer. Folks, that term, and I believe it's in Isaiah 14, is Hallel ben Shakar, okay? That is shiny one, son of Venus, okay? I've covered that in other videos. You see the correlation being made here in the Freemasons' own literature, okay? Again, I'm going to go back. I got lost here. The pentagram, or five-pointed star, the primary symbol of magical and initiatory societies across the world, is the shape traced in the heavens by the transit of the planet Venus through the year. Okay? In this Roman context, the parallels between Isis and the Western conception of the Virgin Goddess in her myriad forms become starkly apparent. The Virgin Goddess. That's why I kept bringing up Washington, D.C., the District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia as Mary's land, okay, and Virginia, right? Folks, do you see the symbology happening here, okay? She has also enjoyed considerable veneration throughout history as a figurehead of Freemasonry, or as Manly P. Hall put it, the Virgin of the world. Numerous Masonic writers have expounded lengthy treatises on the Masonic symbolism inherent in the legend of Isis. It being so closely tied to the inner curriculum of Masonry and the pre-Christian mystery traditions, wisdom was always depicted as feminine. In Greece, wisdom was personified as Athena, goddess of knowledge and crafts. The 7 liberal arts are given female representations, and the 9 muses invoked by countless artisans and artists are all of the female form. For an organization with a historical opposition to the admittance of women, Freemasonry has an oddly persistent fascination with feminine representations of their craft. Now, depending upon what articles you read, Freemason prophetesses, oftentimes they are women, so I'm not, where they may not have leadership roles, they were always gone to as a source of wisdom, was a prophetess over a prophet, from what I have read in my own experience. Now, you may have read something that contradicts that. From what I've read, these Freemasonic cults, they are more prone to exalt a prophetess, a female prophet, as male, right? Because they believe wisdom is personified in the feminine, okay? It is often acknowledged that many, if not most, are the founding figures of early America were Freemasons. Folks, we've talked about this at length. Most people have. If you've seen my videos, the roots of the United States of America were founded by Freemasons that cloaked their actual intent, folks, and took advantage of Christians to get this country going, folks. They wanted to take advantage and exploit the blessing Christians had from God. That's my opinion, okay? Could it be that this small group of men, working with a vast repository of Masonic symbolism, crafted a symbol to forge a specific path forward into the future? Is it coincidence that Columbia led the waves of settlers from the New World, from sea to shining sea, transporting the light of civilization from its birth on the eastern horizon to its maturity in the west? Though she has been subsumed in popular understanding by the withered visage of Uncle Sam. Subsumed, that means basically absorbed, right? So they're saying that Uncle Sam's iconography has kind of been, she's taken a backseat and kind of been absorbed into that. Columbia keeps constant vigil from the forgotten and overlooked corners of American history and geography, a testament to a different time. She may remain cloaked behind the veil. She draws so closely to her breast, yet the light of her torch still burns for those with eyes to see. Folks, a lot of that Uncle Sam stuff, in my opinion, was put out there because if you stay focused on Columbia and you understand that what that symbolizes, you're going to be able to link that to Freemasonry. So that's probably a Freemason tactic to shift some of the focus over to something like Uncle Sam just to throw people off the trail. Now, that's just me, off the top of my head, knowing how they do and the things that they do to try to conceal the actual intent. It's a disinformation campaign, in a way, right? Okay. Now, this is more from this Emma Lazarus woman. This quote, not really going to read that. That's not, it's just, I'm not going to waste your time with that. But anyways, the link to this article, folks, I will have in the description for this video. You can go back and read this yourself. And you can see, folks, that, now I don't know how highly venerated this Axel Savari guy is, or this Masonic Philosophical Society, folks, that posting information on the internet, folks. Okay, now, like I told you, Freemason is as fractured as Christianity, if not more, and you're going to get opposing views, and then you're also going to deal with disinformation campaigns. But what's important? What we are told in this article explains the symbology in D.C. with the obelisk and the dome building, and it explains the obelisk and the dome at the Vatican, folks, with the obelisk being up there and St. Peter's Basilica being a dome-shaped building. Find me another example of anybody that talks about this symbology that perfectly explains all of that symbology that is at Washington, D.C. and the Vatican, folks. Okay? That is why I am inclined to believe this is what the Founding Fathers actually believed when they laid out the blueprint for Washington, D.C. Okay? These bloodline cults are still operating the majority of American politics, in my opinion, okay? The Rockefellers, which control the Democratic wing of the United States of America, the liberals, okay, the main money behind that are the Rockefellers, even though George Soros is an agent, and George Soros does get involved in, but George Soros gets blamed for way too much of American liberal politics when in fact it's the Rockefeller Foundation through the Clintons and other people like the Obama that are basically behind that stuff, folks. And on the right wing, you have the Rothschilds, okay, which are basically another Freemason cult that follow bloodlines, folks, and they are basically more focused on Israel, to whereas in the past, if you heard me talk about this, I believe, it's my opinion, the Rockefellers want to rule the world from the UN, the United Nations, and the Rothschilds believe that the Antichrist can actually manifest in the United States of America and put together that peace treaty for Israel, folks. And that's what that symbology is for. The dome is a woman's womb. The obelisk is the phallus of Osiris, and they are conjuring the spirit and giving birth to Horus, which is Osiris in the flesh out of Isis's womb, folks. That's basically at the inauguration of each president. That is very, very similar to the rituals in which they would take the pharaoh and basically do these rituals on the pharaoh and put the spirit of Osiris in the pharaoh and a pharaoh, so God in the flesh was ruling Egypt. Okay? Folks, I really just don't know what else to say. I found this article, and I felt like this article really embodied a lot of the points that I've found in my study over the years. And quite honest with you, to see it all put together by someone claiming to be a Freemason, it's pretty phenomenal. It was nice to see all of that put together to where I could get on here and just explain the whole thing in one article. So, like I said, when I found this article in my research, I was like, man, I'm going to put this video up right now, because it covers a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about, and especially in that End Times Deception series that I tried to put together, But anyways, folks, I don't know if you have any questions about this stuff. I can try to explain my perspective on it. Not that I'm right about everything, No one has perfect theology, but in my studies and what I've found, I think this is most likely the truth, folks. So I guess until next time, folks, God bless you all in Jesus' name.